Hi folks, I'd like to talk to you today about laying in a gesture from a figure that you're looking at on a screen, a photo. Right now it's a little tough getting hold of models, so let's look at something on a screen. There are advantages to doing this. For instance, if I'm doing it like this, it means that I can use a pose that a model in class could never hold for any length of time. Now, the trick is not to get stiff, because when you're working from a photo, you are so going to want to tighten up. So try and come in very loosely. Get that gesture. See what's going on with just the flow of the paint. Now I'm going to periodically have to lean over and tap on my screen. And I want to get that gesture. I'm looking at this figure and seeing the flow of how the body is handling it. Where is the weight? So in this pose, there is a balance. The head is not directly over the foot. Instead, you get the weight of the lifted foot, and that counterbalances it. Now, I can refine a little bit to get that sense of a little bit of the musculature. I want that sense of strength in there, but most of all, I want the flow. So I'm not slowing down right now. This would be sufficient, and then I would want to let it dry. Now, let's see. I have to wait for it to dry. Okie doke, the paint dried. I came in with some pencil, just loose, very flowing gesture. I didn't use any eraser. I want to come in and make a few notations to keep the fluidity. So some of the things that changed, I changed the angle of the shoulder and the hand. And you know what? I'm not going to make any corrections in that, because if you've got a sense of multiple lines, of looking and looking again, and things changing as you look at them, that's fine. That's totally fine. It gives so much more fluidity. Now, what I'm looking at here is the shadow of his hand over his torso. And coming in this case, I'm using the local color of his shorts. There's a little bit of light on the top of the muscle there. Now, there are many ways of approaching handling a figure gesture. And I've included some in the emails that I'm sending you. Have a look. Decide which approach you prefer. If you prefer, I tend to model in light and shadow. That's one of the things I just like to do. You're going to see some images of artists who prefer to work with the fluidity of the brush stroke. You're going to see some artists who work into the light and shadow exclusively and don't put anything in the light area. The hardest thing is knowing where to stop, because you don't want to do too much. Now, at a certain point, you may decide, hey, I kind of like what I got here, and I see how I want to develop it. Okay, cool. If you're motivated by the pose, go for it. I just want the main idea to be keeping fluidity. Don't overwork. That's the thing I really want you to avoid. Now, I can't help myself here. I really feel the need to drop in a stronger blue in there. I also feel the need to come into some of the shorts with some more direct paint, but to keep things loose, not to slow down. The weight of the figure is going to be on that leg, so I have to do something about creating the strength there. I can come in with another pass with a bit more color up in here to develop his arm and his shoulder. The problem is then I'm gonna start nibbling. I'm gonna start looking for things that are more detailed, and I just don't want to go in that direction. Keep it fluid. So you can see where I've gone with this, that it's just a gesture, but it's a leaping off point. It's maintained the movement of the pose. There's no way in a class situation you're going to have a guy in this pose for 20 minutes. Not going to happen. So look at the photos. The assignment is keeping the movement. Don't worry about perfection, and have fun. If you've got one pose on one side of the page, you can do a whole grouping. The beauty of photos is you see what's coming. It's not like the model's going to hit you with something you don't know what's coming. You can see the photos that you have, and you can organize them into a composition. Just keep the movement going. If you like what you have, use a second piece of paper and develop it. Okay, I played around with it a little bit more, and I can glaze, and I can do backgrounds, and I can do all sorts of other things. But you know what? I think I'm just going to stop here.